Hello guys!
Welcome to the Ninja Gaming Show.
I'm Ed.
And I'm Stu.
And today we are reviewing a game that has surprised a lot of RPG lovers out there. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
So without further ado, we're going to take Ed to the story.
Now in the story of Kingdoms of Amalur, you pretty much play as this character that is, of course, trying to save the world from this war going on. Now, before time started, there is this race called the Fae. And these Faes are completely immortal. And there's two types of Fae. There's the Winter Court Fae, and then there's the Summer Court Fae. Fae are all into nature and all that, and cool stuff like that. But anyways, what happens is there's this man called Gadflow, and he decides to say, hey, I don't really like what the Winter Court's doing, and he actually makes his own sect called the Tuatha Deos. And these Tuatha Deos say, oh, there's a new god coming, and we need to destroy all the mortal races, which are humans, elves, and gnomes, and completely wipe them from this earth. And so they start this whole thing called the Crystal Wars. Now, I don't want to say much about your character and what his whole thing in this whole entire, world is going on. But I'm going to stop it there. That's pretty much the storyline in, a nutshell. Don't want to give away too many spoilers. So I'm going to send it to Stu with the gameplay.
So for the gameplay for this game, you start off with your races. And depending on what race you choose, you get extra skill bonuses in the beginning of the game. So after you're done doing that, you also have these gods that you can choose from that give you different bonuses depending on what god you choose. And then after that, you have your character customization, where you could customize your character, how he looks, and especially what he looks like, and yeah, and then make yourself in the game if you want. I don't care. So after that, in this game, the leveling up structure is you pretty much have all these skills such as alchemy, lockpicking, and depending what race you chose in the beginning, you already have a couple of these already specialized. And as you level up, you can get even more. You now also have the next leveling up is your ability tree. And your ability tree is based off the three categories of might, finesse, and sorcery. Might is pretty much being a warrior with great swords and such. Sorcery is obviously magic, and finesse is more like stealth and using daggers. So with that, as you level up, you can put your ability points into these trees to unlock more abilities for that class. And how it depends on how you level up these abilities, you unlock these destiny cards, which are pretty much changed, but depending on which one you choose, which ones you level up, the different cards you get changes the effect, future effect that you get. Like, let's say you have like this much, percent in like magic, or extra damage using this spell, or and so on and so forth. The list goes on. And as you also level up and you put more abilities into more trees, let's say you want to focus on might and finesse, you focus on those, you can unlock cards that have both of those special abilities, those both classes. So that's pretty much the whole leveling up system. It's a lot of different stuff, it's a lot of different customization, but that's what makes the game great, to customize your character and how you see fit. Now for the combat is great in this game. You got the classic third-person combat where you switch between your primary and your secondary weapon. Your primary and your secondary consists of whatever you really want. You could have Fey Blades as your primary and a staff as your secondary, or vice versa. You can switch on the fly. It just means different buttons you push depending on primary and secondary. And now you also have magic, not to be confused with the staffs you get. The magic is pretty much you start out with a shock spell, which is slightly overpowered, but you unlock more and you can make it more powerful the way you level up your abilities. So now that's enough of the combat. Now we're going to talk about the whole world. The game is absolutely massive. I was very impressed with how big this game was. Because for a game that I haven't really heard of, studios I've never even heard of, the only thing I heard of was EA as a publisher. This game is very, very impressive with how beautiful and the scale and how massive everything is. And there's a lot of quests everywhere. You have so many side quests that you can do before you get to your primary objective. The game is set up so that you can go from primary to primary to primary quest, to enhance the story, but there's a lot to do in between that you'd be missing. So this game is pretty much a lot of fun, depending how you play everything. And it's a great game for whatever customization you want to do. And with that, we're going to go on with our final review.
Alright, thanks Stu with the gameplay. Now, with the pros and cons of this game, let's start off with the cons. Now, one thing we found a lot of this is a lot of the sound to the game was really weird. Like, an action would happen and wouldn't give us the sound until like a few seconds later.
Like 3 seconds later.
It was off. Like there was one part where a spider would come out of the ground, completely no sound whatsoever. Then you hear the sound like yeah, you hear the random chit and the roar of the spider and whatever. So yeah, and you also said that characters were off. Like
yes, with the character conversation, that's not a huge thing to complain about. But when you're like really like into a game and like they say their mouths moving, and then after you hear rah, 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 that's when you're just kind of like
yeah, exactly.
It's a pet peeve of a lot of people, and it shouldn't be in a game like that. But it's not a huge complaint. It's not like a game breaking.
Yeah, and what I have to say is that since I played like through like 95% of the game. The thing is, like, the whole entire time, it gets less. Like, you don't run into glitches as much, which is really weird. But it's true, like, from the beginning, it's like you run into, not a lot, but still they're there. And then they get less and less and less, and then eventually you don't run into any at all. Which is, unless, there is a few here and there, but you'll just be like, oh, okay, whatever.
No big deal.
Nothing that big of a deal. So is there anything else you want to add to the cons to it?
I think we pretty much covered the cons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pros to this game though.
Oh yes. You want to start us off?
Sure.
Pros.
I'll say with the game with being an RPG, if you've never played an RPG before, this is a game to get into. It's something the hardcore gamers of RPGs can really still enjoy, and some of the people that are like, I've never played an RPG before, but that can enjoy this game.
Yeah, it's borderline of casual and extreme RPG style, which we really liked about that. Also, what we really loved about this game is, of course, the graphics to the whole world. When you get out of that tutorial level, it's just like, oh wow.
It's just so bright and beautiful.
That's the cool thing. And there's all the different environments you could go into, and it's just like amazing to sit there and just stare at.
Which goes along with the scale of the game.
Yes, exactly. The scale to this game is huge. It's actually like, when I was only level 14, I only was like, if this is the whole map, I was only here. And that means there's like a lot of different side missions. If you are one of those characters that is just looking for
completionist and want to
completing everything,
you're gonna play hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just a huge world, and I really loved how much you have to do it. How much stuff you could go into. And also, another thing we thought was really good is the combat. The
combat. It's because a lot of people that don't like RPGs, a lot of them are turn-based RPGs, and a lot of people don't like that. They like being in the action. What's great about this game is it feels so fluent, switching between weapons and magic to just juggle your enemies.
Yeah,
it's very satisfying and fun for anybody who's a fan of RPGs, and some people that aren't.
And also along with the combat is the weapons. We have not seen a lot of these weapons in a lot of RPGs, such as like Fey Blades, for example. There's just these blades that you hold the handle in the middle, and then there's blades just sticking out, and you get like 2 of these. So you just sound like awesome. Or also like chakras, which are like these weird ring blade type things that you just chuck at your enemies. And it's like somewhat of a magical weapon, so like you would have like lightning shooting out.
It's got some different unique weapons to play around with.
Yeah, it really does have those unique weapons that I really like, that you haven't seen a lot in RPGs. And then, of course, last but not least, the story. The story. The whole story to this game is just like enthralling. It's interesting. We don't want to give too much away for it because it's just that good. And straight off from the beginning, you're just like, oh wow, that's awesome. And they say a lot of stuff to make your character seem that much more awesome in a way.
From a game that from 38 Studios and Big Huge Games, these developers you never even heard of before. With this game, I was especially shocked to see how amazing this game was, how big it was, how vast and how in depth it was. I was very, very surprised.
Yes.
And I'd like to see more from third-party developers that aren't very known for. They can still make really good games. and really show people that a title of the game doesn't sell the game, it's the gameplay, it's the graphics, it's, you know, it's not who makes the game, it's how well the game is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I love about this game, is I've never heard of these people, but this is an absolutely awesome game, and I recommend it to any RPG fan.
And being partners with EA it helps out.
Absolutely.
Like,
with EA being the publisher, yes.
Yes. So yeah, that helped them out a lot.
Yes.
So what would you rate it, Stu?
I would give this game a solid 9. I really enjoyed the gameplay. It was very fun, and definitely a game worth picking up for. Buy this game. I paid $60. It's so worth it. It's already got DLC out, so
yeah, it just got released.
It just got released, so there's going to be more content for this game if there isn't already enough. And yeah, it's not the best RPG in my opinion. It's very good, but there are better ones out there, which is the reason I rate the game a 9, because I think about the scale of RPGs pretty much. Yeah. And yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Well, my opinion on the thing, I actually would give it a 9.2, because it's that one thing where it's like, it's getting to that point where I do agree with you, but I do not think it deserves a 9. I actually think it deserves a little bit more than what you gave it, because it's just that it's so close. It's nearly there. It's nearly to a 9.5, but to me it's just like, because of the voices and being an RPG, how you constantly have to talk to people and learn more of the story, it kind of lowers it down a little bit.
It just back a game just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but still, nevertheless, I give it a 9.2.
Because the whole thing is about the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with me, I'm a story-driven player, so it's like, when that happens, but still.
So there's your ratings, 9.2. All right, thank you guys for watching.
As always, guys, subscribe up there, like it, share with all your people on Facebook and all that, and of course, put down any games or any of your
suggestions, as well. All right, so thank you guys, and have a good night.
See you later.